Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. Boy, I tell you, you want to create the adventure of a lifetime. We got a great story for you today on a couple of levels. First of all, these two gentlemen that are standing here, or I guess are sitting here, Jay and Kyle, have written a book, and they work together on it. They've been friends since college, and they've been really interested in the material that we're going to be talking about. And they are doing really quite well with the book, but they're also studying the art of dead rock stars. And so we're going to talk a great deal about their book, which is called The Dead Rock Stars. And I assumed that when I first heard about the book and before I got into talking to you guys, that it was going to be some sort of a chronological thing about the death of all the rock stars that have happened over time. But no, you have a really interesting twist to the story. And but first of all, I would like to talk to you about, first of all, Jay, how did you guys meet?
We Kevin, thank you for having us. We're excited to be here today. Kevin and I met, Kyle and I met in college. I was a year older than him, and we went to the same university. And I essentially bullied my way into his life his freshman year. I told him we were going to be friends, and then we decided to go hang out, and I made him my friend. So that's where we're at today. It hadn't changed.
No,
he still takes my calls.
That is untrue. He rescued me from a life of just sitting in my dorm by myself. He dragged me out into the world, into the light. He made me come out of my shell a little bit.
It is so much fun to talk to people and to meet people who have really been friends for a long time, and you still talk every day. You collaborated on the book, and which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. But I just find it really interesting that, and you guys are not, you're not particularly older. Or, by the way, what college was this that you were in?
This is a little tiny liberal arts college in West Tennessee called Union University in Jackson, Tennessee. Sweet little place, but it's pretty small.
Now, were you guys born were you born in Tennessee? Either one of you?
I was born in Nashville, Tennessee. My family's been here a long time, and Kyle's been a little bit everywhere. I don't even know, where were you born, Kyle?
I was actually born in Texas, and we
Okay.
lived there all of 2 weeks before making the trek to New Orleans, Louisiana. I lived there for nearly the first 12 years of my life. Then I moved to Memphis. So starting middle school, high school was in Memphis, Tennessee. So I consider myself a Tennessean, even though I wasn't born here. I've lived the bulk of my life here for sure.
Now, Kyle, you don't sound like you're from Tennessee or from Louisiana. I've been there.
Every now and then some words slip out. I'll say a word or two that sound either from New Orleans or from Memphis. You just have to listen closely. You have to have a trained ear.
I gotta tell you, I love Louisiana because they have drive-up daiquiri stands. Did you know that?
I was a child, but I did know that then. I saw those, and it was a puzzlement then, as it is a puzzlement today.
So for those of you who have never been to Louisiana, you can actually drive you up in your car and say, all right, I'm going to have a half case of Bud Light and a daiquiri to go, please. And they will fill it. And then don't they have open container laws there?
You got me, man. I don't know what kind of laws they got there. It's this weird mixture of you do whatever you want. And also no, we're going to control everything, so there's this weird balance that happens in New Orleans for sure.
I tell you, it would be, I haven't been to New Orleans, but I've been to Shreveport and in that area. Played golf one weekend. It was with a couple of local boys, and it was a golf course that was cut out of the jungle.
Yeah.
And so me, being who I am, slice the ball into the jungle. Now, where I live in Seattle, you just go pick up your ball, you bring it back out. And I started taking my golf cart over there, and one of the guys said, I don't think I'd go in there if I was you. And it's really why I said, because things are gonna at you in there.
It might be some gators. They might find a gator in there.
There you go. See, yeah, I knew you could do it. And
I still got it.
In any event, I want to welcome you to the show. It's going to be, we're going to have a lot of fun because we're going to talk about guys and gals in some cases that actually did not survive their fortune and fame and didn't live long enough. And your story is about, what would have happened had they not actually passed away? How did you guys come up? Was this, by the way, over like a bottle of Jack Daniels at 2:00 in the morning or something like that? How did you come up with this?
I think it was around 8:15 over a Diet Dr. Pepper.
Of course. I live in Seattle. We don't even have Dr. Diet Pepper here.
Oh, you're missing out. Diet Dr. Pepper is a great way to wake up in the morning.
Exactly. So how did you guys come up with the idea? Was it just thinking about it, or is it because I know that, by the way, because I've read your bio, that you too, not YouTube, but you too, Kyle's been to their concert 11 times, and Jay has been to and you saw Garth Brooks.
I did at the height of his power, 1993,
when he was a big time dude.
Yep.
I think that's part of one of the things that drew us to this, to this story, is we both love music. I mean, all kinds of music. But we kind of come at it from different perspectives. Jay is always searching for something new. And my motto is, if it's not at least 20 years old, it's probably not any good. And, so we kind of come at it from a different perspective, but we both love music. We both, I love enjoying old stuff. He loves enjoying new stuff. But at the same time, we're also, huge nerds we love stories. We love movies. We love, grew up loving comic books and, cartoons and superhero stories and all that stuff. And so that's kind of been our journey. And so we would often, on our commutes back before we, worked from home or worked from anywhere, as a lot of people do now, we would call one another on our commutes. And we would just, what have you been watching? What if we could write our own? What if we could write our own story or write our own book? And this sort of was just birthed out of one of those, what if we could write our own thing or do our own thing or tell our own story kind of sessions.
Did you guys believe in each other enough to believe that both of you could do it?
Oh man.
I don't know if we believe that either of us could do it, to be honest with you.
I think that's right. I think I kind of came up with the kernel of the idea. I came up with the original sort of kernel of the idea. I pitched it to Jay as just hey man, wouldn't this be fun? And Jay got inspired, was like, we got to do this. And I'm sort of maybe, a little more Eeyore, if you will. Maybe I'm a little bit less, yeah, sure, anything's possible. I'm a little bit more grounded in reality, maybe. And so I was like, okay, sure.
Kyle, would your radio show be like mediocre talk radio? Would it be average talk radio?
Don't ever change anything. Talk radio. Just keep everything the same. Talk radio. That would be my show.
And hang out in your college dorm, because there's really nothing good out there anyway.
That's right. It's a world's a scary place. Talk radio. That's
there are so many podcasts. I'm willing to bet you right now there's one named that somewhere.
Probably. Yeah. We've probably been on it too. We've done so many of these.
Well, you guys are the only way to publicize your book and your work and to get out there. You got to get out there somehow. And quite frankly, this is the best of cheap advertising that you could get.
And it's honestly, Kevin, I know you do this. You talk to a lot of people. It is so much fun, because we are able to chat with people that we would never, ever get to know any other way. it's been just such a blast to, to meet people and to share our story, and both how we, have met one another, and how we wrote the book, and then what the book's about, all these things. So yeah, it's been really awesome. We've loved every minute of it.
I have too, and I've done over 2,000 interviews, and it
Wow.
just makes my heart sing to be able to talk to guys like you about your passion and what works for you, and look at you now. You've got a book that's on the shelf, and it's doing well according to the publicist, and it is a fun experience for both of you, and then you get to go talk about it on all these places everywhere.
That's right. For sure. We've loved it.
So I know you've done a lot of podcasts, and I'm not after a compliment here, because you don't have to give me one, but have they all been good, or are they kind of like a box of chocolates? You just don't know what you're going to get.
That might be the perfect descriptor, because some are nutty, and some are cream filled, and some are, fruity, and some are
about 6 months old. Some are about 6 months old in the box that nobody wanted.
That is funny.
And some are perfect. Some are just creamy and smooth and amazing. And you're like, that is right where it needs to be, right there. Perfecto.
And Kyle, I hate to put you on the spot. Okay, I really don't. But on your bio, it says that you can name any movie from the 80s or 90s, what year it was released. Is that true?
That is more of an aspirational thing, but it's a fun party trick. It's a fun party story. Honestly, Kevin, I can get pretty close, but I can't do it all. And no one's ever asked me exactly how I learned this trick, but I can tell you how, if you're curious. I growing up didn't have cable TV at home. We just had the basic NBC, CBS, ABC, just the basic bunny ears, television. So 6 channels or whatever. When Fox came along in like 87, it's like, yes, new channel, we were really excited. So we would get the newspaper on Sundays, and I would pull out the TV guide, and I would read all the movies that are coming out that week that I couldn't watch because they're on cable and we don't have cable, but they always had a little parentheses and they'd have the year on it. And I'd read those things, and it just, so many of them have just stuck in my brain over the years that I can just remember, just from recollection of reading the 1-sentence bio of Back to the Future and know that it came out in 85, so it's just kind of weird, but it's one of those things I grabbed and can hold on to.
Kevin, Kyle is certifiable nerd. Awesome. Like, he can do all the things. And so you need to test him a little bit. Ask him a couple movies, see how he does. But I mean, you got to remember, it's a pretty specific, it's a couple decades, right? You wouldn't say, before 1980, would you?
No, 80s and 90s are my wheelhouse. 80s and 90s.
So don't pull anything out from the 60s, but otherwise he's pretty good.
Well, I will test that in just a moment, but I did want to mention that I loved, for those people that grew up with 100 media channels, and there's, if you were to get a listing, a TV guide of all the channels that are out there now, it would be like 2 inches thick for each week. And so I remember the TV guide. And I remember one time in February of 1964, this is, by the way, I think, Jay, you were only 10 at the time in 64.
I was, 64, I was negative. I can't even do the math. I don't know.
Negative 13.
I wasn't around. Negative 13 years old.
I saw, because I look forward, just like you did, Kyle, I look forward to getting the TV guide and then see which Tarzan was going to be on the local channel that week, and Shirley Temple Theater and all that. Anyway, and so on the front cover of the TV guide were these 4 guys, and they were bigger than life, and they were going to be on the Ed Sullivan Show that following Sunday night. And that was the picture of the Beatles in all of them. And it was, that's how, when I was 7 years old, that's how I fell in love with the Beatles. So
that's great.
In one of the characters in your book is my personal hero, John Lennon. And I remember that. I remember, All You Need Is Love and all the things that they did. And I remember 1980, December 9th. Which, by the way, I had my date with my wife on that date, which
The
is
first,
why
your
apparently
first date?
the first date was,
Oh, wow.
which is apparently why we're no longer married. But that's a story for another time. but let's talk about the book, how you formulated it, and how you came up with the really the cool premise of it. Kyle or Jay, how about you?
Well, Kyle had this idea that was just so interesting to me. It kind of captured my attention. And it was this idea that what if all the people that have passed, these people that we love, these rock stars, these people that really shaped culture, what if they passed, what if they, those that died, what if they didn't die? What if they faked their deaths to become secret agents to save the world? And it's such a silly premise, but it's a lot of fun. If you think about Men in Black, or you think about, Kingsman, that kind of world, what's better than secret agents? What's better than people that, rock stars that you loved? I mean, how many people in this room have dressed like Elvis Presley before? I mean, I have for sure. Everybody has these dreams about these people. They're significant to their life. You have monumental markers, Kevin, for John Lennon. And so for us to be able to give them a chance to have a second life, to have something that's silly and fun, and get to even imagine what they would be like in the time setting with which we wrote the book. We wrote the book. The book is set in 1999. So Elvis would be 60, 60, 61, 62, somewhere in there. John Lennon would be how old? How old would he be in 99?
Like his late 50s, like 57
He was 40,
or 58.
so he'd be 59.
So a lot of that world we've never really seen or even imagined what these rock stars would be like at that time. And so also many of them died very unfortunate fates, and some of them had their own monsters that kind of chased them. And so to be able to celebrate who they are and also give them a second life, and sometimes a life that's away from, the sadness that they experienced, is kind of fun. We created a mystery. We created a romance. It's action, and it's just a lot of ridiculousness. And I think the world needs more of that today. You turn on the news, you do everything else, and it's like depressing. But we wanted to write a book that you could disappear to for a weekend and really enjoy the universe.
I think it's great, and I don't want to give away too much, but every person that I know from the late 60s and early 70s that passed away, unfortunately, and many of them way too young. The one I didn't ask about, well, just a second, but the other ones like Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix and Mama Cass and what's her name? She liked Jack Daniels.
Janis Joplin.
Thank you. But did you include Carpenter? Karen Carpenter?
Karen Carpenter, yes.
You have her in the book as well?
She's in there too. She's in there too. Yeah.
Did she ever start eating again?
Yes, she did. In our story, she did. And Kevin, you'll appreciate this. Some of your younger listeners may not, but this is a bit of a spoiler. But Karen has a partner, kind of, that they work together. They're like a tag team, so to speak. And her tag team partner is Cass Elliot. And the beauty of their relationship is, and the team that they serve on now, is that they have both been brought to health, to where when you see them in action, there's a moment where you get to see them in action. You can't tell them apart at this point. So that's kind of one of the fun kind of redemption angles for both of those two ladies who struggled with extremes, one extreme to the other, of what can happen in your body and life. And so, yeah, that was kind of a fun little thing that we added in there to kind of later in the process. We added those two in, but they are definitely in the book.
By the way, that is just brilliant. For those of you that don't know, Mama Cass Elliot was a very heavy lady, a wonderful voice, but was very heavy, and she died of a heart attack. Some would say that she died eating a ham sandwich, but I'm told it was more of a heart attack. But
It's an urban myth.
Urban myth, exactly. And then Karen Carpenter had anorexia. And that's what cost her life. So I think that's brilliant that how they came back and formed a team and and they're now healthy people. That's awesome.
Yeah, and
So
that's one of the things we really want to emphasize in our book is you know, yes, a lot of those folks had demons, you know, and had some things that that helped contribute to their untimely demise. You know, and to join this team, you know, you have to be in recovery. You have to be seeking health. You have to be seeking after, you know, not just the betterment of the world, you know, but also the betterment of yourself. And so, yeah, there is a bit of a, you know, redemption recovery angle that plays a part, and it is not a heavy book. It is not, you know, something where you're going to walk away feeling like the heaviness. It's more lighthearted, but at the same time, we couldn't ignore the realities of, you know, how some of these people tragically passed, and so we wanted to address it. We didn't want to just pretend like it didn't exist, so we did it that way.
What'd you do with Morrison? Did you make him a priest?
Well, it's funny that you say that. We didn't. I don't know that we professed his spiritual affiliation, but one of the things that was fun for us was we like to imagine who would like. We wrote a book because we didn't know how to write a movie, and when we did that, we oftentimes imagined who would play the role of the character that is the rock star, and we had a lot of fun imagining. We started writing in 2018, and we had a lot of fun imagining what actors would play what parts. And for us, growing up, the perfect Jim Morrison. Honestly, I don't mean to offend anyone, but like when I think about Jim Morrison, I actually think more about Val Kilmer than I do Jim Morrison. And so Val Kilmer played him successfully in the Doors movie, and we started to imagine what Jim Morrison would be like at this age, and we really wanted Val Kilmer to be able to play him again. And so in 2018, it just kind of came out that Val was having issues with his throat and dealing with cancer, and so we chose to make Jim Morrison take a vow of silence in our story. He is the he only says maybe a few words in the whole book, and he takes a vow of silence. And so there's a spiritual aspect about Jim Morrison, and the thought of the man who was so poetic, not being able to talk, is really interesting to think about. Doesn't mean he didn't create art, just took a vow of silence.
I think it's just awesome what you guys have put together, because it comes from the heart from both of you, and you're able to. Let me ask you this: did you guys have any knockdown, drag out fights over the content, and he should do this and he can't do that? Are you kidding me? You would never do that. Did you ever have those conversations?
I do remember it wasn't a knockdown drag out, but I do remember one phone conversation specifically. Jay, you may not even remember this, but we were kind of arguing about how the team should function, and you were trying to advocate for, you know, most of these people were lead singers. They're not going to fall in line with anybody, and I was like, no, we need someone to be the voice, the leader. And I think that was, if you may not remember that conversation, but that was pretty early on in the process, and so I felt like that was the closest we ever got to a knockdown drag out. Really wasn't at all. It was just more like he saw it one way, I saw it another, and we kind of compromised and met in the middle, which we had to do a lot, because, you know, when two people are trying to tell one story, you know, you've got to agree. You've got to agree on things, and it does no good if, you know, if one's like, you know, I got to get my way all the time. Neither of us, you know, wanted to do that. We wanted to, you know, work together. We wanted to write a story that was cohesive, that seemed as if one voice wrote it. And so that was our aim and our goal. And we worked really hard so that if someone picks this book up, yeah, they see two authors on the cover, but, you know, you can't tell that two people wrote it. That's our desire and our hope.
You know, I would also say that keeping in step with the theme of your radio show, the Positive Talk Radio, Kyle and I are friends and we care about each other. And some of the biggest arguments we had were more about making sure that we were not stepping on each other's toes, not bulldozing or not slowing down or anything like that. There'd be times where we did have those discussions, and there were times where, you know, Kyle would have to say, hey man, you need to stop doing this because of X, Y, or Z. And there'd be other times where I'm like, hey, I didn't know I was doing it. I'm sorry. Like, it's just we've described this before, but Kyle says he's the brakes and I'm the gas. And sometimes when it comes to that, we can get cross over who's pushing to do what, and it's usually me, the one that's pushing. And so we learned a lot about each other, and I think we kind of came to a conclusion that was this: we cared more about our friendship than we did the book. And so many times, if there was something that one of us cared a lot about, we kind of took the approach of, this is a work of fiction and we are doing this for fun. We had two goals: one, break even; the other, to be published and be in bookstores. And so we didn't have lofty aspirations, and it's really exciting to be where we are now. But like, it was a piece of fiction. It's meant to be fun. And so for us to lose our friendship or to get so angry about one piece of something that really, I mean, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. We're not trying to cure, Ebola or something like that. We're just writing a story. And so we put our friendship in many times ahead of any kind of work that might be there.
I think that is, I wish you could print that and make it so all over the planet. Because that would be, you guys are a definite example of two human beings that care for each other greatly and have a great deal of fun together. I'm sure your families have a great deal of fun together, and you get together on a regular basis and all of that. It really is cool. I wish more of us could do that.
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything he said. It was not a it was not at any point where it was like, we're gonna threaten our friendship over this thing. It was more, this is fun. We're having a great time doing this, and it's been fun every step of the way. It's hard work. It's hard work trying to, scream out into the void and say, hey, we got this thing. We really think you like it, and if you will just pick it up and read it, and tell your friends about it. A lot of that is really hard work, but it's been great. It's been so much fun, trying to share the good word with people.
You guys wrote it, and then you went in search of a publisher, or did you self-publish?
No, we did.
Jay?
We do have a publisher. Yeah. Morgan James Publishing. Go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
That's all right. You're good. It was one of our biggest goals, and it wasn't easy. 2018, we started the process. We spent a lot of time talking to a lot of different people about our book and trying to get someone to pay attention to us. We had some heroes. Ernest Cline is a big hero of ours. We really like what he did with the pop culture references and things like that in the book Ready Player One. And we wanted to be published. We wanted it to be a thing where we had a partner that would help us. And we talked to a lot of people. We got a lot of no's, and then we got a yes. And it was a really, really cool experience to chase a dream and then have a dream realized. And so we couldn't be more excited about our publisher, Morgan James, and what we're doing and how we're working together to make this book known to the world, and hopefully help people to enjoy life a little bit better.
And you guys started this in 18?
Yeah, 2018. Yeah, I took a screenshot. I found it on my phone a few weeks back of our first whiteboard session where we mapped out maybe the first quarter of the book and made assignments, who's writing what chapter, and kind of like a sentence or just a couple of words. This chapter's about this, and this chapter's about this, and Jay, you write this chapter. Kyle, you write this chapter. And so yeah, it was like September of 2018 when we started. It's pretty amazing to see. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, I'll be honest, even though we've lived through a pandemic and there's so much stuff that's happened since then. But it's pretty cool to think that that it's together. It's happened. We made it happen.
How long between 18 and when the book was published was it all ready to go? And then of course there's the editing and all that kind of stuff. But how was it? Was it 4 years of work and then the editing and then it went, or was it done earlier than that?
We spent a little time getting started. It was, hey, what are we doing? Do we know how to do it? And like what Kyle talked about, we had the whiteboard and we took little Post-it notes and we lined up these chapters to kind of determine what we thought was going to happen and how it would happen. And then we started giving out assignments. And then, 2018 and 2019, I'd say we probably had, I don't know, Kyle, you could correct me on this, but I think we probably had half the book done during those 2 years. And then the pandemic was an awful thing that our world experienced. But for us, it gave us some free time. And we took a run at it and we finished it in 2020. Now, we could have published it. We could have self-published it and it had been out in a couple of weeks. But because we went for the publisher route, we ended up hiring a grammar editor, a content editor. We went through a lot of different, rewrites and things like that, and really kind of finally crafted the story to where we didn't feel like there were any holes in the story that we were telling, and we're really proud of what we did. And then it took another 9 months for the publisher to take the book that was finished and then go through their process to be able to put it out there on people's shelves. And so it took a long time.
I got to tell you, it must feel really good to walk into a bookstore and to have your book with you as the authors on the shelf. That's a dream come true for a lot of people. We need to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about that dream, what it meant to you, what it means to you in the future, and where you're going with this. And then we're going to talk about the book and all the dead rock stars that are there. And we're talking with Jay Watson and Kyle. It's Wiltshire, right?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Very nice. Very nice. I actually said it right the first time, which is new for me. So you're listening to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. We're going to take a quick station break. We'll be right back with more with these two incredible authors.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
They have your eyes. They have your ears. They have your smile. Now all they need is a little more of your time. Make a difference in your child's life, because anyone can be a father. It takes time to be a dad.
And welcome back, everybody, to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. We got a couple of great authors here, and they've written the book, The Dead Rock Stars. I think that's the title, right? Yeah.
That is correct.
Good. Good. You have no idea. Anyway, and they are Jay Watson and Kyle Wiltshire, and they are writing partners, and they took a book that they had in their head, and then they made it reality. Did you think at any point in that you were not going to make it reality, or were you so grounded in your faith in, number one, your writing skills, each other, the story that you had in mind, that everything would come together and it would and you would know your greatness, and now you're on the adventure of a lifetime?
I would say, and Jay can probably, speak to maybe a different angle of this. I honestly felt confident in our story, the premise of our story. I always felt confident in that, because just like you, Kevin, when we told you the premise of the story, we saw your eyes light up. And as we've told people the 30-second elevator pitch about this story, they go, what an idea. That is so cool. And, and immediately, like the third thing they say after, ask a question or two, the third question is this going to be a movie? And so like, that's been our experience when we've kind of pitched the story, told people about the story. So I felt very confident in the in how cool our story idea is. Now, our writing ability, to this point, maybe that's debatable if it's well written or not. I don't know. I feel pretty good about it, but that's for someone else to decide. But I think we did a good job with it. But again, I'm sort of more the the realist, and so there was always kind of a like, I don't know if this will ever happen. But in the end, I was just thinking, man, if we could put a period on that last sentence and step back and go, we did it. We wrote a book. And if we could ever get it published, man, how cool that would be. So it was just sort of like a one step at a time for me. We didn't have this, there wasn't a, 5 steps down the road. It was, let's just do one step at a time and we'll see where it goes for me. But Jay, I don't know how you feel, if you feel differently than I do about that, but that's sort of been my experience.
Yeah, I haven't really spent a lot of time thinking. Like I need to go back and think a little bit about what it was like in 2019 or where we were. There was a time where we had a literary agent for about 8 hours, 2 days,
9 minutes, something like that. Yeah.
And
it was quick.
It went from, we asked a few questions to, we're not interested. after they were interested in sending us a contract. And that was a pretty dark time for me. I don't think Kyle and I touched anything about the book for like 6 months after that happened. It was, that was a little bit depressing for me because it just felt like an insurmountable goal a few times while we were doing it. I don't think I was ever worried about the story either, but there's a lot of pieces that have to fall into place to make it happen. And I just, I just wanted to, it was a wonderful escape from day-to-day work in real life. And it was something that we got to talk about and have fun with. And, you'd be in the shower, you'd be somewhere where you think a little bit and you start to have this idea about what you could do. And I always got really excited to be able to call Kyle and be like, what about this? And we had some horrible ideas and then we had a few good ones. And it was just kind of fun to be able to have something that we got to work on together. We got to dream about together. And I do think that I was pretty discouraged for a good period of time. Like I got a little depressed about the idea of writing it or finishing it, or if anybody'd ever give us a chance. And, I don't really know exactly how we got back on the horse, but we kind of did. We started working a little bit more and we'd set ourselves fake deadlines. And then, like I said before, we hit, when the pandemic hit, it was an opportunity for us to really kind of focus on something that wasn't sad.
Well, you are a great example of two guys that had a dream and you followed through and you did it and you didn't let anybody stand in your way. And even though there were bumps in the road, by God, there's bumps in everybody's road. It's not an easy place to be. It's hard. It's difficult at times, but you guys did it. The question I have that somebody's asking me to ask you is, given the fact that you're two different individuals, how did you marry and blend the writing styles so that they appeared to be one guy?
Yeah, so our process was where, like we've kind of explained, we would make assignments. Jay would wrote chapter 1 and 2. I wrote chapter 3 and 4, and then just from there, I could tell you who wrote the original chapter. But then we would exchange, like, here's my chapters, and we would exchange, and then we'd go through them, and we had a Google Doc where all this stuff was, and we'd make notes. If we loved something, we'd put it in green. This is awesome. If we were like, I'm not so sure about this, we'd put it in yellow. If there's something we hated, like, I don't like this, put it in red. And then we'd discuss it and we'd talk about it. We'd change it. We'd tweak it. And so, someone wrote the first draft of the chapter, but we worked together at every step beyond that to make sure that it was, that it was cohesive, that it was ours, that it was his voice as well as my voice, that we sort of have this, this blended voice. And I've thought a lot about this, but no one bats an eye when, you turn on a movie and you see that there's, a handful of writers, who wrote the script for a movie or a story treatment or something like that. You look at a superhero movie, there's going to be 9 people that wrote it, or whatever. But when people, someone wrote a book, 2 people wrote a book together. How is that possible? And, it's a lot of what we've talked about, just the compromise we made with one another, the desire to, to tell a good story, to, sometimes I had to give, sometimes he had to give. There was always, a way that we could make it work. And I believe that, when people read it, they can't tell that 2 people wrote it. And it's really fun. It's really cool to have this result and for it to turn out the way it has.
I would add to that, we spent a lot of time researching these rock stars. And something that was very important from us from the beginning was to be able to hopefully nail their dialect and their voice, so that when you heard them speak, even though it was 1999, there was still a kernel of kind of who they were. And so I think that helped us a little bit when it came to determining who wrote what, because we spent a lot of time trying to nail the voice of each character. And that kind of helped us to write kind of in unison for what we're doing. One of your heroes, one of your legends is John Lennon. And John Lennon had a phrase that he said in almost every sentence when he was talking, when he was interviewed. I don't know if you know what it is, Kevin, but I know Kyle knows.
Know what I mean? Like, it's one word. Know what I mean? So we slam it all together. Know what I mean? Yeah, he would use that a lot. So we threw it in there a lot.
That would be so fun to write in what appears to be like their dialect and their manner of speaking and the type of words that they would use. That takes a tremendous amount of research, I would think.
A lot of YouTube videos for sure.
Yeah. We did. We listened to a lot of interviews. Jay read a lot of books. I read some interviews and things like that. But the bottom line is we knew that we couldn't get it all, like nailed it, like absolutely perfect. But we wanted to get close. We may not hit a bullseye, but we want to hit the target. It's where a big fan of one of these people who are featured in our book might read it and go, "Yeah, I could see them saying that," or "That sounds like them." That's similar to their cadence or that sort of thing. And the other thing we wanted to avoid was sort of the caricature of some of these people, particularly Elvis Presley. He kind of becomes a caricature. People like to, I want a jelly donut, that sort of thing. And
I don't know what you mean.
yeah, thank you very much. And he does say that several times in the book, but it's not, we didn't want to make him a cartoon. And I remember in our first pass, character we hadn't talked much about, but Jerry Garcia is a character in our story. And in our first pass, we made him just like a stereotypical like hippie, far out, man. And then we actually read some interviews and listened to him speak. We're like, he doesn't talk like that.
Yeah, he was.
So we had to change all his dialogue to capture more like who he is. And the way he speaks. He doesn't speak like a hippie. He speaks like a psychiatrist,
like a philosopher.
A philosopher. Yeah. So that kind of directed our path a little bit when we wrote his dialogue.
Well, I tell you, you guys wrote about some of the best on the planet that have ever been in the music business. One of which I actually met this gentleman at the bar I was a bartender at the DoubleTree Plaza Hotel in Seattle, and the Beach Boys were playing at the Puyallup Fair. And so I met, true story, I met Dennis Wilson and his bodyguard.
Ooh.
Because he had a tendency to, he's passed on now, but he had a tendency to overindulge and to create havoc wherever he went. And so he actually had somebody who was his bodyguard, not to protect him from other people, but to protect other people from him.
Wow.
So,
I feel like there's not a lot of job security in something like that. I feel like
you would think.
Wilson wakes up and he's mad,
Oh yeah, and apparently, well, it depends on where he woke up too, because sometimes he didn't know that either.
Yeah,
but now all of these guys, especially Hendrix and Joplin and Morrison, all had issues with substance abuse. And how did you address that in the book? Because that would be, I don't want to give any, and if I'm giving too much away, don't tell me.
No, it's okay, because I think it's important. Kyle and I handled these rock stars, these real life people with care. Like if you read the very beginning, dedication of the book, it says, "To everyone we've lost but still love." And so this is a love letter to them in some ways. I mean, not romantically, but you know what I mean. These are people that are celebrated in our culture. So we decided that it would make a lot of sense for a lot of people that had addiction issues, that there would be recovery meetings that they would be required to go to. And with every good superhero team or secret agent team, everybody has roles. You got your driver, you got your gun man, you got your leader, you got the one who can work with the technology. And for us, we thought it was really important to have somewhat of the resident camp counselor, if you will, the resident psychologist. And Jerry Garcia was a great fit for that, because we really couldn't see him getting into such shape that he would be out there on the field being a secret agent. But we thought he'd be really good to kind of help with people's hurt and help with people's past. And so we don't make it sad. We don't make it depressing, but it is a part of our story that is one of the ways where they've worked together to make sure that they're healthy, body, mind, and spirit.
And by the way, we are talking with Jay Watson and Kyle Wiltshire, and go to deadrockstarsbook.com and you can find out all about the book, The Dead Rock Stars, and how you can get a hold of it. But do me a favor, buy it from them, would you please? They make a little bit more money than if they go through all that other stuff. and they've worked hard on this, and it's a really great story. When we come back from this break, I'm going to ask them, with the advent of AI, do you think that it's very possible that these stories can be made into a movie using digital stuff, whatever that is, that they've got these days, that can really take like a John Lennon that looked X when he was in 1980, and then 19 years later, what would he look like then? And then to put his voice there and to do all of that, that would be a very interesting experiment. But I'm going to ask their opinion on it when we come right back. So stay with us. You're listening to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald.
A lifetime of savings can disappear overnight. Millions of dollars are stolen every day from unsuspecting older adults by family members, caregivers, and trusted professionals. If you suspect financial exploitation, call the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116 or go online to the National Adult Protective Services Association to be connected with help in your area.
And welcome back, everybody, to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And we've got a couple of great authors here. They've got a great book, the Dead Rock Stars book, and they are it's out there, as they say. It came out in November, so it's out everywhere, and you can go pick it up at your local bookstore. And do me another favor, if you wouldn't. I'm sorry, if you wouldn't mind, ladies and gentlemen, if there's a local bookstore that is a mom and pop that is run by just a couple of nice people that love books, go order it through them, and they can make they can make a little bit of money, and you can help a small business. But I was thinking this would make a great movie. But how do you bridge the 19-year gap? In some cases, it's even more than that. It's a 29-year gap, because a couple of these guys died in 69, 70, 71. And then I was thinking AI. AI. Have you guys thought about that?
I have a little bit. And listen, I am not anti AI. But what I have found is AI is really good at math. AI can, create things via algorithm. You can give them some, here's some prompts, here's some clues, here's some ideas, here's some ways that you could take it. But AI is not creative. We had a friend who was messing with us and was wanting to, we were, talking to some folks. Hey, will you review our book on Amazon or, wherever you bought it, leave us a review. And a friend of ours, had AI write a review for our book, and he sent it to us, and I read it, and it took me 1 second to find, oh, the AI wrote this. You can tell when AI writes something. Now it's probably going to get better, but AI is not creative. And so it doesn't have the human capacity for creativity. So where I think AI might be helpful is potentially in mimicking the voices. But I would never want to take the place of if it were a movie, to take the place of what a human could bring to the character, to the role, to the physicality, and let their own facial expressions. You see Harrison Ford de-aged in Indiana Jones, and he just kind of looks weird, even though it's like, yeah, I remember when he looked like that. He still kind of looks weird, So it's like, let's see their real faces, let their real faces emote. Maybe the AI can tweak their voices just a little bit to make them sound more like the real person. But I would not want to take away the creativity of an artist in one of these roles. That's kind of my take on it. Jay, I don't know if you feel different, but that's sort of how I see it.
Yeah, I think Harrison Ford is a great example. We spent a lot of time thinking about if a 60-year-old, 62-year-old Elvis Presley could lead the DRS. And we came to a conclusion pretty quickly that 60 is a lot younger than it used to be. And there are several examples of people. You got Tom Cruise jumping off planes still and riding motorcycles, and he's right there. And then Harrison Ford being 80 years old playing Indiana Jones. I have issues some days just waking up. Like I pulled a muscle in my back yesterday, and I have no idea how it happened. And the thought of like riding a horse at 80, like really fast while everything's recording, or trying to look cool like you're Indiana Jones, I don't know how that happened. And so I think that the de-aging thing that Kyle mentioned is a little bit of an issue, but like we're actually dealing with the opposite. I think there's a lot of people that are actors that are just around the right age that could pull it off in such a way where, Elvis Presley isn't going to look exactly like he looked like. Hopefully, he's not going to look at all like he looked when he was 42, because that guy was bloated. So you move him to where he's healthy. You move him 1962, and you just need him to kind of look like he could look like that. And so the AI, Kyle's exactly right. The AI for music, maybe, but honestly, we've got a lot of the actors already picked out. We're ready to go. Money, no object. We're ready to go.
Okay. Who would you pick for Jimi Hendrix?
There's a couple of options. Our prerequisite was someone who's musical. And so, Jamie Foxx is an incredible musician, so he could definitely pull off Jimi Hendrix. But the other one that we've thought about is Andre 3000 from the group Outkast. He's actually played Jimmy several years ago in a biopic, so he could pick that mantle up and play him again. So
yeah,
those are some
gray
ideas
hair.
there.
He's good to go.
Okay, you two, who's got the better imagination?
Oh,
I've thought about this, and this is one of where we just worked together so well, because my strengths are maybe not as good as Jay's strengths, and my weakness is Jay's strong there. So I think Jay's got a better imagination, because he's the one kind of come up with a lot of the kind of the cool elements, the cool things. I'm more the continuity guy. I'm more of the, is this working story wise? So I'd say Jay probably has the stronger imagination of the two of us.
I don't know that. I think our imaginations are different. The way I would describe it is this: Kyle is a river and I'm lightning. Like Kyle is like paving the way through the earth, and like you can always count on him, and he's going to put together continuity. He's going to make sure the story works, and he's got a lot of creativity that expresses itself in that way. I don't have very many actual talents in the world, other than I can come up with a cool idea every once in a while. And so lightning will strike occasionally. Sometimes it's thunder and there's really, you don't see it, but other times, I think it can be okay.
Mr. Watson, I would like to bring to your attention something that, did you know that you are a published author?
Yes, we are. Yes,
Do you know how few people are actually published authors of a book that's doing better than average?
Not everybody. So that's great. Yeah.
So knock that crap off about you don't have much talent about anything.
I hear you.
Enough about that, because that's just not true.
Well,
I shake my head at that too. He's incredibly talented, incredibly gifted in many, many ways. And we are the perfect combination of strengths and weaknesses, him picking me up where I need it, and I pick him up where he needs it. So it's been a great creative marriage, as we like to say.
Well, and the cool thing is I know that there are lots of people who would dearly love to have somebody that they can call up every day, that they know that they're just really good friends, and you can tell your friend everything. You can talk about the fight you had with your wife last night, and he'll listen, and vice versa, and all of that. You realize that that's fairly rare.
Yeah, I'd say for sure it's a testament to over 25 years of cultivating friendship and staying in each other's lives. And Jay's so good at that, at continuing to pour into people and invest in people. And he's everywhere I've gone, he's continued to stay with me and chase me down. And not that I was running, but he's been more stationary. I've been more mobile in our careers and paths. But we've always, we just always stayed in touch, and it really is great to have someone to lean on, someone to be able to, like you said, share everything. So it's really, really cool.
What I love about this is that you guys don't let each other get too far away, and you keep reeling each other back. That's really is what a good friend is. And you should be congratulated for writing the book. Number 1, it's doing well. Number 2, and you're still friends after it's all done.
It's almost a miracle. I'm teasing.
I think it's great too that we still enjoy doing this. I mean, we've done a bunch of podcasts at this point, and sometimes I'll think, is this going to be good, or is this going to be a box of chocolates? What are we going to get? But like, I like hanging out with Kyle. It's fun to talk. So this is great.
Well, and I do have to tell you that there are people that have been listening, and they're giving you hearts and they're giving you thumbs up, and congratulations. You guys deserve it. You have been working at this for a bit, and you're good at what you do. There's got to be another book in there somewhere, because the entertainment value of what you're bringing with this book is pretty high.
Yeah, I think we definitely, if we could just pave the way and do everything we want to do, we'd want to make a trilogy here, 3 stories, beginning, middle, and end. Our first book does stand alone. You read the book, you can, okay, yeah, it tells a complete story, but it leaves enough of an open door to see a continuation. And so, yeah, we'd love to tell a middle part, and we'd love to tell a conclusion part, and have a classic trilogy of stories.
Good old 80s kids with their trilogies. That's where we are.
Exactly. And I do have to say, Empire Strikes Back, what year?
1980.
Wow.
That's easy. You got to get up earlier in the morning than that, man. Come on.
Thelma and Louise.
Oh,
91.
I was going to say 95.
91.
Holy mackerel. That's really, really good. Now, of course, I have no way of checking that, but I'll take your word.
I'm Googling it right now.
That is
1991, Thelma and Louise. That's amazing. I didn't expect that one at all.
I know you were shocked. It was like,
Are you a secret Brad Pitt fan? Is that what's going on there?
That guy something. I don't know if he ever looked better in his life when he's holding that hair dryer, and he's got his shirt off. It's like, whoa, holy cow. I think we should all just quit. We should all just quit trying, because no human man is ever going to look better than that guy does right there.
Yeah. Now, my son has got a great ability. He can quote chapter and verse of any particular movie that he's aware of. It's like, I can come up with generalities. It's a real gift to be able to do stuff like that. Guys, we've only got about a minute and a half left. And Jay, I would like you to tell our audience anything that you would like them to know.
I would just say it's really important to live life chasing dreams. If you don't, I think it's easy to lose hope. And dreams are the things that push us to really try things that are not always comfortable, but sometimes really special. And I'm proud of Kyle, and I'm proud of myself. And I believe that our story will make you smile, and you might laugh once or twice. So you should definitely read it.
Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do the salesman part. Yeah, you can find our book anywhere books are sold. If you want to get it from Amazon or Barnes & Noble, it's there. But we'd love for you to check out our website, deadrockstarsbook.com. As you mentioned earlier, you can get a special edition autographed copy from us if you buy it from our website. So we'd love to get one of those to you. And yeah, what you said, Kevin, about your local bookstore, that'd be awesome to go to your local bookstore. They can order it and get it. We'd love to support local bookstores as well. So thanks for having us on your show. We have had an awesome time.
You guys are a couple awesome dudes, and I really appreciate your work. And this has been fun. I've really enjoyed it. And you'll have to come back, and we'll talk more when you hit the New York Times bestseller list.
From your lips to God's ear. That's what I like to say.
And thank you, guys. And we got to go, but we'll see you next time. Hey, thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. We are a production of KMmedia.pro, a full-service media company. Whether it is audio, video, shorts, or longer pieces, we're able to take each project from beginning to final product within your time frame and on budget. Visit KMmedia.pro for more details about us and to get started on your project. We also would like to thank the Brushwood Media Network for all their support. Go to brushwoodmedianetwork.com to find out more about them and the quality shows featured on the network. Until then, we'll see you next time. My name again is Kevin McDonald, and please remember, be kind.